So I did a nice little mix of safe and super safe. So let's get started here. Chiefs plus 7.5. So okay, now I think they're going to win. I already have a parlay with us winning, so that's beside. But for this one, I just don't want to be heartbroken if we lose. So if there's silver lining to losing at all, it's making money. So and at most, I think we would lose by TD. I just can't. I know a lot of pundits and obviously Raven fans talking about blowing us out. I don't think they're going to blow us out. I think we lose by a TD at most. So that 0.5 saves it. Pacheco, 50-plus rushing yards. So Ravens give up 109 per game. Pacheco's over-under attempts is 14.5. So let's just say 15 carries. So for him to get 50 yards, we're looking at what, 3.5 yards per carry? I mean, well below his season average. I think he gets that pretty easily. I think we try to establish the run, much like we did last week. Gus Edwards, under 58.5 yards rushing. So Edwards over-under carries is 10.5. And his last 2 weeks, I believe he was 10 and 10, which means he'd have to average almost 6 yards a carry to hit this number. I think we're going to sell out to stop the run. I hope we do. And he's only hit this number twice in the last 10 games. So all those factors considered, and the way they've gotten Justice Hill more involved, I don't think he gets over 60 or over 58.5. Rice, 50 over 50 yards receiving. So, or 50 plus, let me say. So they have his catch total at 6.5 for the week. That's about 8-9 yards per catch, which is well below his average for the season. I think he gets this pretty easily. If you look at some of the guys who have hit against Baltimore, this number, Deontay Johnson at 89, Tyreek at 76, Ayuk at 113, Zay Jones at 59, Puka and Kupp had like triple or quadruple that. That was a crazy shootout. So I just think Ayuk's probably the best comp for his kind of player. I just think the short catches he gets, the yak, I just think Rice will get this. Because even if it is a very low-scoring, more conservative running affair, I think Rice has the kind of route tree that would just excel in that. Short pass, quick, just let him go. Let him missile it out there, Total under 54.5. So I see on the high end 30 to 24. So I'm giving myself the 0.5. So usually how I do over-unders is I think about the total score on the high end and on the low end. And then I take the over-under based off the highest I think it'll go. Sometimes I add a field goal to that number. Sometimes I just go 0.5. The Chiefs, the last week I was cutting it real close. So I would have lost last week had they made a field goal or had McCall Hardman score that touchdown. I would have been Dunsky. So not to say I wasn't happy. I wish he would have scored that because I'll take a win over winning a bet in day of the week. But that's just how close it is, right? So 30 to 24 on the high end. My low end score is 24-19. I just think both teams will just try not to make mistakes. Very similar to last week, too. You're going to see them go a little more conservative, a little more run heavy, a little more check downy. And just I don't think either quarterback will want to lose this game for the team. So I go under 54.5.
Solid. JD, what are you thinking? What stands out to you?
Well, obviously, I do believe the Chiefs are going to win. So I think we covered the first one for sure. Silver lining in that, you in bets, yeah. But for me, Chiefs losing no silver lining whatsoever. I get trying to win a little money, but this is a blown point. I ain't even worried about that because Chiefs are winning. Okay, so I do like that. Chiefs 7.5. Pacheco 50+ rushing yards. Now, I do believe Pacheco's going to have more than 50 yards rushing. And you bring in 12 or 13 personnel. I think one of the things we have to do is Pacheco's going to have to pick and choose the spots, but we're going to have to run him. I think just to open everything up, get those, the linebackers, Roquan and those guys coming up, trying to make the plays because they know we're going to give the ball to Pacheco to help out with the play action. Okay, we're going to set these guys up. I'm telling you, great. I mean, as far as like the things that we want to do, how we want to attack them, I think Andy Dim's going to have a wonderful game plan going into the Ravens. And so Pacheco having 50+ rushing yards, we'll definitely do that. So he's not too far from up where he's from. Okay, I'm sure he's bringing a whole lot of family down too from up there in Baltimore, New Jersey. So
that's true.
Yeah, he's only that's an hour and a half away, maybe an hour.
While we're on that topic, let me ask you a quick question, a follow-up for that.
Yeah.
Andy Reid can go one of many different ways, and he's always a wild card with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think we open it up? Do you think we try to open it up going against the grain, which most people think it's going to be just on the ground battle? Do you think we just come out passing? Or kind of the way we did against like Miami? Everyone was expecting us to just come out and just pound the ball every time. And we come out and Mahomes just throws like 2 darts out there. So I think everyone's expecting us to run. Do you think we just go ahead and just try to establish that? Or do you think we come out just kind of trying to gun it?
I think you play action first, then run the football. And to be honest with you, I would try them early. I'd take a shot immediately. Take a shot. Okay. Let's say you get a first down. You get a first down, take a shot. Okay. And that's where I think Rice kind of goes into, him getting I see it number 4 getting 50+ receiving yards. Like you say, you just named a lot of guys that's getting a lot of plays, getting a lot of yards. Rice is the dude when I'm sitting there looking how George Pickens was able to get him. You know what I'm saying? Ayuk and all those guys. Hey, Rice is their secondary. Besides Kyle Hamilton, everybody's easy to beat. They really are. Even Cal. Cal's a tall guy, lanky. But all these guys can get beat. They really can. I think it's one of those games, like I said, McCole Hardman is looking on the other side, who they have, OBJ, Zay Flowers, all that. McCole Hardman's like, look, I'm as good as these guys, it's not better. So I want him to have a little arrogance and confidence this week, okay? So let's get him going too. But I do say, just kind of going to that, Teja, I do believe that Andy will probably take a shot early. Why not? And if not, then let's run Pacheco. Let's see what they got. And so we got brawlers up front. And this is why I was talking about the physicality of us playing. Our offensive line with Allegretti, we are a physical football team up front, okay? And if people don't think we are, we're going to show them exactly who we are. With Donovan, Juwan, we got a great front. Trey Smith, come on, Creed, are you kidding? We'll run against anybody. I don't care who it is. And I think Andy has to give it to these guys to do the due diligence. Let them go to work. Let them go to work on the defensive line. That's the way I look at it. Go to work on them right now. Go to work on Raekwon Smith. Same thing. Run straight at him. We was talking about that, right? We've seen it in the video with Ray Lewis, okay? Hey, let's do the things y'all don't expect us to do. Let's run straight at you, okay, and see what you do. How about we hit you in your mouth? How do you respond, okay? And so it's like the old thing going, say, look, you already got my juices flowing right now. I'm sorry. But it's the same thing like, Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a game plan until you get hit.
Yeah.
Right? So don't think at no time the Ravens are going to bully the Chiefs or their offensive line. It's just not going to happen. We got some really grimy, gritty guys up front. We do. Heck, and I love because they one of the most penalized teams. Well, guess what? We're going to hold, the ish out of you. That's what we're going to do. And hopefully just let our guys play, okay? Donovan's going to jump on legs, hit necks, all those different things. We know Trey and those guys, man. We know they're going to be ready. So I do believe, Pacheco will get the 50+ rushing yards. Going to the other side of the ball, Edwards under 58.5 rushing yards. Now, look, I think I've said this before. You bring pressure. You got to bring 5. You got to bring 6. And I think we'll bottle some things up. And I know Spags is just reiterating to that front line. Listen, do not give them anything. You may bend, but do not break. Don't let your guy just run you about 5 yards off. Make a pound, whatever you need to do. Like, we got to sell out this entire game, okay? And I'm sure everybody's got the memo. Everybody understands that when you come into that stadium, what it is that's required of you. I think these guys are ready for that. And so I also think, with Dalvin Cook being there, add an eat into it as well. I think they'll try to run him, get him in running. So I do like that bet. That's a good bet right there, Teja, because I don't think, Edwards, because they always had this running back by committee, like you said, Hills, he's doing his little thing. So I think Edwards might really find a back seat if he doesn't have, any type of success early.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I think it's happening.
I think they'll quickly pull off of him if he goes like 3 carries for like 5 yards, 4 yards or something.
Yeah, right. It's come and have a seat. It's not your day. Yeah, we might put you in. But, I think they want to try to promote Dalvin Cook, Hill, and those guys, try to get them to see what they can do. Okay. So I do like that one. Rice, 50+ receiving yards. I said it before. We got to throw it up to this young man. He's a talented guy. He's talented as any of the guys that you named. He really is. And so let's give him a chance, man. Give him a shot to shine. Okay. Give him a shot to shine. This is good. Hey, this is when guys show up. Okay. When you have a player, this is the game guys like this shows up. Okay. And I think Rashee Rice understands that. So the total points under 54.5. I actually have total points being 51. So I do believe 54.5 is that's a good bet. Anything under that is good. So this is going to be a brawl. It's going to be a brawl, man.
What do you have, 27-24? Is that what you have?
27-24. Yeah, what was in the last game, what we've seen in our year. So I was like, okay, speaks to me a little bit. Speaks to me. So
paying homage to the past.
Absolutely. So yeah, $25 to win 108.75. Yeah, man. Good bet right there. Love it. Love every one of those.
Yeah. Teja and I got to have some similar ones here. So this will be interesting to see where you go with this one, JD. All right. So my first bet, Chiefs winning. So I'm just gonna right out the gate, going with it. No silver lining, no nothing. It's all hard. It's all make or break, baby. Heartbreak or nothing.
Love it. Love it.
So Chiefs money line. And again, I'm just going to drive this point home. They lost to Deshaun Watson this year, who, I mean, anyone can admittedly say that Deshaun Watson's not what he was 3 years ago. They lost to Gardner Minshew. They lost to Kenny Pickett. This team is beatable. These are those quarterbacks I just named aren't even half of what Patrick Mahomes is, especially playoff Patrick Mahomes. Also, too, just to add to that, Mahomes has been an underdog twice in the playoffs. He's 2-0. When he's an underdog in the playoffs. So make this a third one. So that's a trend right there. Next, Pacheco over 55.5 rushing yards. I have a little bit more than what Teja had there. Pacheco. So looking at the 3 games where they lost, and I'm not going to even count their last game they lost to the Steelers because they benched their whole team for that game because it was a bye week essentially for them. So I'm only looking at the other 3 games. So the 3 games they lost this year, Jerome Ford, and obviously teams average 109 yards rushing against them, but I'm just looking at the games they lost. Browns, Jerome Ford had 12 carries for 107 yards. Zach Moss, 30 carries for 122 yards in that game. And pretty old school, 30 carries. And then I didn't even realize that. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren combined for 23 carries for 77 yards. They obviously have a committee, so it's back and forth between the two of them. But in those games, the teams beat them. They were getting more than 50 yards rushing on the ground. And I think if we're to win this game, Pacheco's going to have more than 50 yards rushing. This 55.5 number, Pacheco's exceeded that 6 of his last 8 games. So, yeah, it's a pretty good trend there. Pacheco's going to get over 55.5 yards rushing. Moving on to the next one, Mahomes over 17.5 rushing yards. So this is one I don't like to bet Mahomes rushing. I did in that Dolphins game, which the first round of the playoffs, which we hit on that bet. That was like 23.5 at the time. So, it was 6 yards less than that. So pretty much what I'm coming down to with this, the Ravens are the best pass rush in the league by, their sack numbers, number 1 in the league. And so what I did was I went back to look at how Patrick Mahomes does against teams that have a good pass rush in the playoffs. So the games I looked to, 49ers Super Bowl, they were a top 5 pass rush. That they were number 3 or number 4 in sacks that year. Mahomes had 29 yards rushing in that game. We won that game. Bucks Super Bowl. Obviously, we lost that game, and I think the next gen stats did how many yards of Mahomes rushed that day going back horizontally, like 500 yards rushing. He had that day horizontally, but the numbers he actually had rushing that game, going forward, he had 33 yards rushing in that game. Tampa Bay had one of the best pass rushes in that season. Mm-hmm. Last year, Eagles, one of the best pass rushes of all time. It's 70 sacks in the season. They dominated every pressure rate there was. And a lot of people thought we were going to lose that game because this amazing pass rush. Well, Mahomes on one ankle had 44 yards rushing in that game. And this year, the Ravens, number one pass rush in the league by many metrics there. So, yeah, I think Mahomes will have more than 17.5 yards rushing in this game. I just think with the pressure rate that he'll probably be getting, and I don't think it's going to be a smooth game all throughout. I don't think our offense is going to look like humming the entire time. I think he's going to have to escape and do his kind of Mahomes magic, and I think he will have more than 17.5 yards rushing in this game. And I look back when they played. It was hit or miss the teams they played this year. Some quarterbacks ran, some quarterbacks didn't. Stroud had 9 yards rushing last week. I believe Deshaun Watson had 40 yards rushing against them when they played this season. So, it's hit or miss. But with Mahomes and big games like this, he'll do whatever it has to take. He'll put his body out on the line. He'll do whatever it has to take, even if he's playing on one ankle, which he proved in the Super Bowl last year against the vaunted Eagles pass rush. So moving on, Rashee Rice over 53.5 yards receiving. So I looked back at the games they lost. So like Jerome Ford, like Zach Moss, in the games they lost, their running game, their top running back did their thing, and also top receiver did their thing. So the Colts, Michael Pittman had 77 yards receiving in that game. George Pickens had 130 yards receiving in that game. And Amari Cooper had 98 yards receiving in that game. Commonality, they all surpassed 53.5 yards receiving in those games. Rice has exceeded this number in 7 of his last 8 games. The one game they didn't was last week. But he was nicked up a little bit earlier in that game. Hopefully that he's fine. He's not on the injury report, I think he's obviously fine. But
we didn't need to. Everybody else was eating.
I know.
Sure.
And then looking at the Ravens, looking at that 53.5 yard number, I look back at all their last opponents. Ravens have given this number, 53.5 yards, up to opposing teams' number one receivers the last 7 weeks of the season. So we went back the last 7 weeks. Every team's number one receiver has given up that and more. I think that's going to be a lock. And then lastly, our magic number. Of our 11 wins this year, 8 of them, we had more than 23.5 points. So magic number, Chiefs over 23.5 points this game. So 24 points is what we're going for this week.
24 points. That's it. That's a magic number. It's a magic number.
And that's 25 to win, 212.50. So I like it.
You like it, I love it. You like it, I love it. Listen, hey, look, I'm right there with you. Chiefs money line, straight up bet. Chiefs all day. We understand that. Okay. Great bet. But check over 55.5 rushing yards. I think it's doable. Teja, you got 50 yards, right? 50 plus yards rushing, 55.5. Pacheco, he'll hit that. Like I said, everybody's coming down. Somebody down the 95, coming down 95 to come see Pacheco do his thing. His whole family, man. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I think this is really kind of in his backyard, and this would be a great game for everybody to come and catch up with. So I do like that. Pacheco over 55.5 rushing yards. He's going to have a big day. He's going to have a big day on Sunday. Mahomes over 17.5 rushing yards. Now, look, I do believe that because we understand that Mahomes has escapability. He's just a magician like that. And so when things get a little tough, he does see people, get down, coverage. He'll take off running. And so very deceptive. And I think everybody talks about, what Lamar can do. One of the most underrated runners with the football as a quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. He's always showing, and he always delivering during the playoffs or any games or big games like this, just running the football, extending plays with his legs. And I think he'll have at least about 2 or 3 plays this game. So I think he'll definitely get that 17.5 rushing yards. I think what was the one he had last week against Buffalo? Before he knew it, it looked like he was going to get about 5 or 10. Next thing you know, it was like 25 yards. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. Like he snuck in like 10 to 12 on the sideline, tiptoeing.
It's little twinkle toes.
Yeah, little twinkle toes. That's what we do. And so I definitely believe that's a good bet right there, 17.5 rushing yards. Because that's required for this game. So Rice over 53.5 receiving yards. Teja, you have him over 50 already. We've already done said this. Your number one receivers always, they're gashing them. There's no reason for me to doubt that Rice would do that. I think because, he last week it was kind of a quiet week for him somewhat. This is going to be the week for him to kind of go out there and make some noise. So I do like that 53.5 receiving yards. And he might be the X factor. Everybody was asking, like, who's the X factor? Might be Rashee Rice this week. Seriously. He's a guy you can throw the ball up to, man, let him go make some plays. I know he's going to be excited, man, to play this game in Baltimore. I know he will. It's a good bet. Chiefs over 23.5 points. Now, I got them at 27. We said the magic number is 24. It's pretty simple to me. It's pretty simple. We do that, man, we win. I said we get 24 points, we win in the games. That's how it works. That's how it works. And so that bet $25 to win $212.50. I like it. I like it. So good mix,
right,
man.
Last similarities on both sides of this. So I guess it's the ones that we are similar on. That's where it's going to be where you go, JD. So it's Mahomes rush yards, Gus Edwards under. Where are you going with, JD?
Hey, look, man. I'm all in this week. Okay, I'm just all juiced up. Like I said, man, we burning the boats. We coming to do a job. All right, and it's just going to take care of it. And so, I do love the conservative bets on your side, Teja. But I think Marcus, man, he's letting them hang this week, and that's where we got to be with the Chiefs Kingdom. That's where we have to be. Yeah, we got to. That's what it's got to be. Everybody's been doubting us on every program, every TV show. I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere, and I'm like, fine. I don't want no support, none of it. I want none of it, man. Bring it all. We want it all. Come the doubts, everything. And so while we flying back, eating the little crab cakes, and taking our chin straps with us to put on our mantle, I want everybody to just remember that, okay? I just want everybody to remember it. I don't even want to bring the receipts. I'm just going to bottle receipts up and just throw them away. So we're going to the Super Bowl. We ain't got time for that, okay? All right? They had a little fun in the sun. Are they the greatest team? And, malarkey. Bull crap. I ain't worried about none of that. We ain't dodging anybody. So with that being said, Marcus, I like your bet a little bit better than Teja. So that's what it is. That's what it is, man.
And there's a good chance both hit this week. I mean, we're very
that's the way it looks. Chiefs win. I think we'll be good in all aspects.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.